welcome fifth grade to our last podcast of the chapter. So we're focusing on lesson 3 for this one, which are resources and land use. All right, remember, you're going to need to know your vocabulary words, so make sure that you have a way of keeping track of those and learning them. All right, so let's get right to it here. So Latin America's resources. Vast range of resources here in Latin America because of the various landforms here. So if we look at Middle America, which would be your Mexico, your Guatemala, Honduras, and that region there, there are lots of different minerals such as gold, copper, coal, iron ore, which is used to make steel, and also deposits of oil for gasoline, and then natural gases as well. And there's also really good soil for farming, fishing. A lot of trees grow in this region, as well as that water power for hydroelectric power, which we kind of discovered about a little bit in our discovery activity. In the Caribbean, we see a difference in the weather. Remember, it's more warm and sunny there. Lots of different winds influence that area. So here, because of the longer growing seasons, the plants that need longer to grow and cultivate can be grown, such as sugarcane, coffee, bananas, cocoa, citrus fruits, and other crops like that. Also, there can be some minerals found on the islands, but for the majority, the islands are agricultural instead of into minerals and mining. In South America, there's many more resources there, as well as there should be, because it's a large region. So gold, copper, tin, bauxite, which is a mineral used for making something that you'll find out later, and iron ore. Also, there can be oil found there. Venezuela is a big oil producing nation in South America, but they also have the other natural resources, forests, fish, coffee, wheat, sugarcane, cotton, rice, so on and so forth. Okay. All right, so let's look at this map here. All right, and this map is in your book, and we'll examine it further as well. But you notice, over here on the key that we have. Okay, so here's our key that goes through and lists all the different things. So if you look, gold, copper, iron, lead, tin, and nickel. Okay, these are all minerals. All right. And notice that the majority of them are found in these mountainous regions. Okay, so along here through the Andes. All right, if we go up here into Mexico, the mountain range that's up in here as well. Okay, that's where you find a lot of those minerals. They're found mainly in the mountains. All right, nickel here in Cuba. All right. And then more of the uranium, bauxite, okay, coal. All right, these are all minerals. Well, coal's not a mineral. But then petroleum, all right, which is a gas, or it's what's used for gas, oil for gas. Notice, in here in the mountains as well, but mainly some into the ocean here. Okay, we have some up here near the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico and in the Gulf of Mexico. All right, there's a little bit of oil there in Cuba. Here's Venezuela. Lots of oil refineries in that region. A little bit off the coast of Brazil. But also notice here, in Brazil, lots of hydroelectric power. All right, we talked about that because remember, 16% of the power in this region comes from hydroelectric power. All right. So again, wherever these strong tributaries are located is where you'll find hydroelectric power. All right, and some of the resources and the economy, they play into it. A lot of Latin American nations started off as just a one-resource economy, okay, which meant that their economy depended on a resource or crop. So maybe their economy depended on just copper, or just corn, or just sugarcane, or something along those lines. Okay, what makes this really bad, is that if the price for it drops, then they have no other way to support the income for that economy, which means that a whole economy, a whole country could crash because they're so dependent on one resource. That happened all throughout Latin America because they had gotten so good at making one product that they didn't try to diversify their economy or make it so that there was more than one industry supporting their economy. So a lot of, when we get more into some of the issues that are troubling these Latin American nations, we'll focus in on that, is that this issue of a single resource for their economy. All right. So then they start to look to the world economy. Well, what can we do to help so that we can become more worldly, get more money from just a product? Oil is a huge one. All right. In the mid-'80s, Mexico and Venezuela discovered that they have a lot of oil off their shores and in their territory, so they start to do that. But then they just focused on oil for a long time. So when the price of oil dropped, their economy got weaker, and the dollar that they have there got weaker, so that it started costing more to buy items that before didn't cost that much. And so they had to learn how to diversify. All right. If you look down here at this point as well, the biggest thing here are what they can't control are these outside factors. I find a color I want. Okay, outside factors. All right, such as higher prices. Okay, so if the United States and let's say Jamaica, they're making the same product. Okay, well, the United States can produce more of it than Jamaica can. So if they produce more of it, then the price of it's going to drop because there's more quantity than supply, or more quantity than what's demanded. So the price of it's going to drop. Well, that's going to hurt Jamaica more. It's going to hurt the United States because the United States has more resources that they can tap into to kind of counterbalance that loss of money. Whereas in Jamaica's case, they wouldn't be able to. Okay. And so what are other factors into this? Well, weather, of course. Hurricanes go through the Caribbean islands and can completely annihilate crops. If there's a drought, like right now in Michigan, there's a big drought over the summer, so that the apple production this fall is going to be low. It's going to be hard to find apples. Same thing in Nebraska. There were the droughts this summer hurt the corn stock, so the prices of corn has gone up quite a bit. And also, if there's a disease that comes through, that can damage the crop as well. If the water temperature rises, it's going to influence fishing. Why is that? Because certain fish have to live within a certain temperature of water. If it gets too warm, they can't live there. If it gets too cold, they can't live there. It has to remain within a certain temperature. So they'll move on to other places. Well, if they move on, nobody knows where they're going to move. So the fishermen have to try to find new places. All right. So having just one or two resources that your economy depends upon is what cripples countries' economies. All right. And the last thing here, just know that Latin America is beginning to diversify. So many Latin American countries are starting to build factories to make products. Okay, if your mom or dad drive a vehicle from GM or Ford or Chrysler or somewhere around there, more than likely, a majority of that vehicle was built somewhere else other than the United States, probably in Mexico. There are lots of factories within Mexico. If some of your parents own companies, they may own some shops in Mexico as well. So it depends. Now as Latin America is finally getting into the world economy, more and more of the countries are building different factories that produce different products so that they don't get caught up into this one resource or two resource economy that can end up crippling them as a country. All right. So if you have any questions, bring them to class. Otherwise, I will talk to you later. Have a great night.